The emergency signal came through the communication channels at 3 in the morning, station time. On the Earth military station called Sanctuary 9, the night shift operators almost missed it. The message was weak, breaking up every few seconds, and transmitted in a language that the automatic systems did not recognize right away. Specialist was drinking her fourth cup of coffee when the computer finally decoded the message. She sat up straight in her chair, her eyes going wide as she read the words on her screen. She reached for the emergency comm button and pressed it hard. Captain to the command center, right now, we have a situation. 5 minutes later, Captain walked into the room, still pulling on his uniform jacket. He was a tall man with tired eyes and short black hair going gray at the temples. He had been in the Earth Defense Force for 15 years and nothing surprised him much anymore. But when he read the message, his eyebrows went up. "They're asking for help," he asked. Nodded, "though they have a colony on a planet called 7. Something is attacking them. They sent this message to every known species in this sector of space." Leaned over her shoulder and read the message again. They were a peaceful species, small and fragile with gray skin and large eyes. They looked almost like the aliens from old Earth movies. They were farmers and artists, not fighters. Their home world had low gravity and almost no dangerous animals. "What's attacking them?" asked. "Something called the swarm," said, pulling up more data. "Insect-like creatures. They hunt in large groups and have venom that can paralyze most species. They say the swarm overran their defenses 3 days ago. They're trapped in their last building." "How many survivors?" "About 40 colonists, maybe less by now." Was quiet for a moment. Then he asked the important question. "Has anyone responded to their call?" His face went dark. She pulled up another screen showing the message traffic across the sector. 17 different species received the signal. All of them said no. "Why?" "Look at the planet data." Showed him the information about 7. Read through it slowly. The planet had gravity that was 1.3 times stronger than Earth. The atmosphere was thick and the air pressure was high. The temperature swung wildly between burning hot days and freezing cold nights. There were dangerous plants, poisonous insects, and sudden storms that came out of nowhere. "Other species are calling it a death world," said quietly. "They say it's too dangerous. The gravity alone would crush most of them. The venom is lethal to almost every known species. Going there would be suicide." Stared at the numbers on the screen. Then he did something that did not expect. He laughed. It was not a mean laugh, just surprised. "What's funny?" she asked. "These numbers," said, pointing at the screen. 1.3 gravity, we train in 1.5. High air pressure, we evolved in it. Temperature swings. Have they never heard of Korea in summer and winter, or Russia, or Australia?" Looked at the data again with new eyes. Was right. Everything that made other species refuse the mission was normal for humans. Not comfortable, maybe, but normal. Lieutenant walked into the command center, called by the emergency signal. He was younger than, with sharp eyes and quick movements. "What's going on, sir?" Showed him the message and the planet data, read it, then shrugged. "Sounds like a Tuesday to me." "That's what I thought," said. He turned to, "Can we get there in time to help?" Worked on her computer for a minute. "If we leave in the next 2 hours, yes. We have a fast ship in dock, the Indomitable. It can make the jump to 7 in about 8 hours. Made his decision. "Wake up the rapid response team. I want 12 volunteers for a rescue mission. Full combat gear. We leave in 90 minutes. "Sir," said, "I volunteer." "Approved. Get your squad ready." Within an hour, the word had spread through Sanctuary 9. A rescue mission to a death world. Most species would have struggled to find anyone willing to go. But this was a human station. Within 30 minutes had 40 volunteers. He had to turn people away. The final team included a corporal named who was known for being tough and smart, a private named Wu who could fix anything, and 9 others. They were all experienced soldiers. They had all seen combat before. But more importantly, they all came from Earth, the planet that other species whispered about in fear. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, the highest classification, a planet where almost everything could kill you: high gravity, extreme weather, thousands of predator species, diseases that evolved alongside humans for millions of years, radiation from the sun, poisonous plants, venomous animals, earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes. Humans did not think of Earth as a death world. They thought of it as home. As the team boarded the Indomitable, stood at the airlock and looked at each of them. This is a volunteer mission. The other species are right about one thing. This planet is dangerous. They are dangerous. Some of us might not come back. Corporal spoke up. Sir, with respect, we're from Earth. Dangerous is what we do. The others nodded. Private Wu grinned. Besides, someone has to show the galaxy how it's done. Allowed himself a small smile. All right, let's go save some colonists. The Indomitable left the station and jumped into faster-than-light travel. The ship was fast and new, designed by human engineers who understood that sometimes speed was the difference between life and death. On 7, the colonists huddled in their last safe building. They had stopped hopping for rescue. 17 species had ignored their call. They were everywhere outside, scratching at the walls, testing the defenses. It was only a matter of time. The colony leader, a named Tor, watched the screens showing the area outside. Hundreds of moved in the darkness. Each one was the size of a large dog, with 6 legs and mandibles that could cut through metal. Their venom could drop in seconds. We should send another message, someone said. No one is coming, Tor said quietly. We're on our own. But Tor was wrong. 8 hours away and closing fast, 12 humans were coming. They had read the message. They had seen the danger. And they had decided that 40 innocent lives were worth the risk. The galaxy was about to learn something new. When everyone else said no, Earth said yes. When everyone else ran away, humans ran toward the danger. Not because they were fearless, but because they came from a world that taught them how to survive anything. The Indomitable jumped back into normal space above 7. The rescue had begun. The dropship fell through the atmosphere of 7 like a burning meteor. Inside, Corporal checked her weapon for the 3rd time and looked at the others. They all sat strapped into their seats, quiet and focused. The ship shook and rattled as it hit thick air, but no one looked worried. They had done this before. 30 seconds to landing. The pilot's voice came through the speakers. Lieutenant stood up and grabbed a handle on the ceiling. You all know the mission. Get to the colonists, set up a defense, keep them alive. Questions? Yeah, Private Wu said. Do we get hazard pay for this? A few soldiers laughed. It was a good sign. They were not scared. The ship hit the ground hard and the rear door dropped open. The first thing that hit them was the smell. Thick, wet air that smelled like rotting plants and something else. Something dead. Then came the heat. It was like walking into an oven. Move out, said. The 12 humans ran down the ramp into a nightmare. The colony was surrounded by hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They covered the ground like a living carpet, all moving toward the last building where the colonists hid. Their chittering filled the air, a sound like a million insects all talking at once. They noticed the humans immediately. About 50 of them turned and rushed toward the dropship. They moved fast, their 6 legs carrying them across the ground in a blur of motion. Contact, said calmly into her radio. She raised her rifle and fired. The weapon made a sharp cracking sound and the first exploded into pieces. The others kept coming. The humans spread out and opened fire. The sound was deafening. Rifles cracked, heavy weapons boomed, and they screamed. It was not a fair fight. The insects were fast and mean, but human weapons were designed to kill things much bigger and tougher than bugs. In 2 minutes, all 50 were dead. The humans had not lost a single person. Keep moving, ordered. We need to reach the building. They ran across open ground toward the colony. More came at them from all sides. The insects tried to swarm them, to overwhelm them with numbers. It did not work. The humans moved like a machine, covering each other, firing in controlled bursts, never stopping. Private Wu threw a grenade that scattered a group of 20. A soldier named Bora used her heavy weapon to clear a path through the insects. Another soldier shot 4 that tried to attack from above. Inside the colony building, heard the weapons fire. They crowded around the windows, afraid to hope. Through the smoke and chaos outside, they saw shapes moving. Big shapes, taller than any. "What are those?" someone asked. A female named, pressed her face to the glass. She had studied on Earth years ago, learning about human culture and language. She had thought she understood them. Now, watching them fight through impossible odds, she realized she had not understood at all. "Those are humans," she whispered. The other stared at her. Everyone knew about humans. They were the newcomers, the species that had only recently joined the galactic community. They came from a death world, but no one really knew what that meant. Now they were seeing it. Outside, Corporal reached the colony wall. She pressed her back against it and spoke into her radio. "We're at the building. Need a door." "Working on it," his voice came back. One of the soldiers, a demolitions expert named, attached a small charge to the wall. "Everyone back," he said. The charge went off with a bang, and a hole opened in the wall big enough for a person to fit through. Went through first, his weapon ready. Inside, he found himself facing 40 terrified. They were small, barely coming up to his chest, with gray skin and huge dark eyes. They all stared at him in shock. "We're from Earth," said, lowering his weapon. "We got your message. We're here to help." For a moment, no one moved, then pushed through the crowd. "You came," she said in perfect human language. "You actually came." "Yeah," said, "we came. Now let's make sure you stay alive." The rest of the human team poured through the hole in the wall. They immediately went to work. Some soldiers checked the building's defenses. Others started setting up heavy weapons at the windows, began treating wounded with medical supplies. The just watched in amazement. These humans moved in the heavy gravity like it was nothing. The air pressure that made them feel like they were being crushed did not seem to bother the humans at all. The heat that had the colonists sweating and gasping barely made the humans slow down. Then something happened that made them truly understand what they were dealing with. A got through the hole in the wall. It was bigger than the others, almost the size of a human. It jumped at Private Wu before anyone could react. Its stinger drove into his shoulder, pumping venom into his body. The screamed. Venom was death. It paralyzed the nervous system in seconds. No species could survive it. Wu grabbed with both hands and threw it against the wall so hard the insect's shell cracked. Then he pulled the stinger out of his shoulder and looked at it. "That hurt," he said. He swayed a little, then steadied himself. "Okay, yeah, that's some strong stuff." Ran over to him. "Sit down now." "I'm fine," Wu said, but his words were slurred. He sat down anyway, injected him with something from her medical kit. Stared in shock. He should be dead. The venom should have killed him instantly. Did not look up from treating Wu. Human immune systems are aggressive. The venom is slowing him down, but his body is already fighting it. He'll be sick for a few hours, then he'll be fine. "That's not possible," said. "You're from a low-threat world," explained, still working. "Your species never had to develop defenses against venom. Humans evolved with thousands of venomous species. Snakes, spiders, scorpions, jellyfish, and more. Our bodies learned to fight back. This stuff is bad, but it's not the worst thing we've encountered." Another soldier walked past carrying a heavy box of ammunition. He was eating something from a package. "Want one?" he asked. "It's pretty good." "You're eating?" they asked in disbelief. "Now." Shrugged. "Got to keep energy up. Combat burns a lot of calories." Captain came through the hole in the wall last. He looked around the room, taking in everything with calm eyes. He saw the frightened colonists, the wounded, the destroyed furniture, and the bodies of who had not survived. His face got harder. "Status," he said too. "Building is secure for now, sir. We have wounded but no deaths among our people. Wu took a hit, but he'll live. They have lost about 20 so far." Nodded, he walked over to where they were gathered and knelt down so he was closer to their height. "I'm Captain from Earth. We're going to get you out of this. But I need you to tell me everything you know about these, where they came from, how many there are, everything." Stepped forward. She was shaking, but her voice was steady. "There are thousands, maybe tens of thousands. They came from the jungle 3 days ago and attacked without warning. We tried to fight, but our weapons barely hurt them. The venom kills us too fast." "Where's their nest?" asked. "We don't know, somewhere in the jungle." Stood up, he looked at. "We need to find that nest. They won't stop while the queen is alive." Outside, they began throwing themselves at the walls again. The building shook with each impact. But now the humans were ready. Heavy weapons roared and the insects fell in waves. They watched in awe. These were the humans everyone warned about. The Death World species. The survivors of a planet that tried to kill them every single day. The galaxy had ignored the cry for help, but Earth had answered, and they were about to learn why that was a very bad thing for them. The scanner screen glowed blue in the dark room. Specialist's voice came through the communication device, transmitted from the ship in orbit above 7. Captain listened carefully as she gave him the bad news. "I found it, sir, the hive. It's 17 kilometers northwest of your position, deep in the jungle. The scanner shows it's massive. There must be a queen inside, probably with thousands of eggs." Looked at the map on his portable screen. 17 kilometers did not sound far, but this was 7. The jungle between here and there was filled with dangers, rivers with crushing currents, cliffs of loose rock, plants that could cut through armor, and who knew what else? "Can we hit it from orbit?" asked, standing beside. "Negative," said. "The hive is under too much rock and soil. We'd need a weapon big enough to crack the planet. That would kill the colonists too." "Then we go on foot," said simply. The room went quiet. All the humans looked at him. They looked at each other with wide eyes. Stepped forward. "Captain, that jungle killed 3 of our survey teams. Even in our best vehicles, we couldn't get through. The terrain is impossible." "For you, maybe," Corporal said. She was cleaning her rifle, not looking up. "But we're not." Made his decision quickly. "We split the team. 6 stay here to protect the colonists. 6 come with me to destroy the hive. They won't stop attacking while their queen lives." "I volunteer," said immediately. "Me too," added. Private Wu raised his hand. He was still pale from the venom, but he could stand. "I'm coming." 3 more soldiers volunteered. Their names were Bora and all good fighters, all experienced. Within 10 minutes they were packed and ready to move. They watched them prepare in silence. These humans were going into terrain that had killed trained explorers. They were doing it at night, in heavy gravity, carrying weapons and supplies that weighed more than a full grown, and they acted like it was normal. "You'll die out there," one said quietly. Looked at him. "Maybe, but if we don't go, you'll definitely die here. The choice is easy." As the sun set, the 6 humans left the colony through a back entrance. The jungle waited for them like a living thing, dark and full of sounds. Strange birds called in the trees. Something large moved in the undergrowth. The air was so thick with moisture that it felt like breathing soup. "Beautiful night for a walk," Wu said. They moved in a line in front and the back. Each person carried supplies and weapons. Their armor had lights, but they kept them low to avoid attracting attention. The ground was soft and muddy. Roots tried to trip them. Insects the size of a human hand flew past their faces. After 1 hour, they reached the first river. The water was black and fast, moving like an angry beast. The current would sweep away anything that fell in. How deep? Asked. Threw a stick into the water. It vanished instantly, deep enough, and the current must be strong, I'd say 5 or 6 meters per second. For most species, this would be impossible to cross, but humans had been crossing rivers since the Stone Age. They found a narrow spot and stretched a rope across. One by one, they waded through the water, using the rope to keep from being swept away. The current tried to pull them downstream. The water was cold enough to make them gasp, but they all made it across. One down, said, water dripping from his armor. 16 kilometers to go. The jungle got worse. They climbed slopes so steep they had to use their hands. They crawled through tunnels in the undergrowth where thorns cut at their armor. Once, they had to go around a plant that identified as highly acidic. Its leaves could burn through metal. Fell into a hole hidden by vines and twisted his ankle. He did not complain, just wrapped it tight and kept walking. That was the human way. You kept going until the mission was done. Around midnight, they stopped to rest. They sat in a small clearing, backs against trees, eating quick rations and drinking water. The jungle noises surrounded them. Something howled in the distance. You know what's funny? Wu said quietly. They think this is a death world, but I went camping once in the Amazon jungle on Earth. This place is easier. How? Bora asked. No mosquitoes, Wu said, and the others laughed softly. He was right, though. Earth had prepared them for this. The Amazon had taught humans to move through dense jungle. The Himalayas had taught them to climb in thin air. The Sahara had taught them to survive heat. Antarctica had taught them to endure cold. Russia had taught them that winter could kill you if you were not smart. Every environment on Earth was a classroom. Every danger was a lesson. And humans had been learning for 200,000 years. They started moving again at 1 in the morning. By 3, they had covered 12 kilometers. They were tired, scratched, bruised, and soaked with sweat, but they were close. Then they found something unexpected. In a small valley, they discovered eggs. Hundreds of them, each one the size of a soccer ball, arranged in careful patterns on the ground. But these were not near the main hive. These were separate. Breeding ground, said quietly, looking at the eggs. This must have been here for generations. Knelt down and examined the area. She found something that made her stop. Captain, look at this. There were marks on the ground, not marks. These were from buildings, old foundations, measurement stakes, the remains of survey equipment. They built their colony on top of the breeding ground, said slowly. They didn't know. They didn't mean to invade. They just picked the wrong spot. Looked at the eggs. So they were protecting their children. They weren't attacking. They were defending. Stood silent for a long moment, thinking. This changed things. They were not mindless monsters. They were parents protecting their young. Any human could understand that. Any parent in the galaxy could understand that. New plan, said. We don't destroy the hive, we talk to the queen. Sir looked confused. Talk to an insect. Said into his radio. I need you to send me everything we know about communication. Pheromones, body language, sound patterns, everything. On it, Captain's voice came back. But sir, we don't have much data. No one's ever successfully communicated with them. Then we'll be the first, said. They reached the hive as the sun came up. It was built into the side of a cliff, a massive structure of mud and rock and what looked like hardened saliva. Thousands have moved around it, coming and going. The sight was intimidating. The humans sat on a ridge above the hive and planned. They had weapons that could destroy the whole thing, explosives that could bring down the cliff, but orders were clear. Try to communicate first. This is crazy, said. What if they just attack us? Then we fight, said. But we try peace first. That's what separates us from the monsters. Using the data sent, they created a simple message using chemical markers. It said basically, we want to talk. We mean no harm to eggs. Place the chemical markers on the ground in front of the hive entrance. Then the humans backed away and waited. For 10 minutes nothing happened. Then it came out. It was bigger than the others with markings on its shell. It approached the markers, smelled them, and went still. More came out. They surrounded the markers, their antennae moving. Then they did something amazing. They created their own chemical pattern, a response. Translated it. They're asking why you destroyed their scouts, why you protect the ones who invaded their breeding ground. Stepped forward slowly, his hands empty, his weapon on his back. He placed more chemical markers. The message was simple. Mistake. They did not know. We will move them. You stop attacking. Peace. The went very still. It was like they were thinking, considering. Then the largest one came forward. It was the queen. She had to be. She was twice the size of the others with a body that glowed slightly in the morning light. She came right up to and stopped 2 meters away. Her mandibles opened and closed. Her eyes, black and multifaceted, looked at him. She was deciding if he was telling the truth, deciding if she could trust this strange creature from another world. Did not move, he barely breathed. This moment would decide everything. Finally, the queen created another chemical message. His voice was amazed as she translated. Agreement. Move your people. We stop attacks, but if they return to breeding ground, war continues. Let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Deal, he said out loud, and placed the chemical markers that meant agreement. The queen turned and walked back to her hive. The other followed. Just like that, the war was over. The 6 humans stood there in shock. They had gone into the jungle expecting to fight. They had found a way to make peace instead. Did we just negotiate with bugs? Wu asked. Yeah, said, starting to laugh. Yeah, we did. Shook his head in wonder. The galaxy is going to lose its mind when they hear about this. They were right. But first, they had to get back to the colony and convince the to move. That was going to be its own kind of challenge. The news traveled across the galaxy faster than light. Within 48 hours, every major civilization knew what had happened on 7. The story was simple but shocking. Humans had gone where 17 other species refused to go. They had survived conditions that should have killed them, and instead of destroying their enemy, they had made peace. In the Grand Council chamber on the station called Unity Prime, representatives from 200 species gathered for an emergency session. The massive room was filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some breathed methane and sat in special tanks. Others existed as energy fields held in containment units. Some looked almost human. Others looked like nothing from Earth's imagination. Ambassador Sora from Earth sat in the human delegation area, watching the chaos unfold. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had been a diplomat for 20 years and had seen many strange things, but she had never seen the council this agitated. The council leader, a being called who looked like a floating jellyfish made of light, called for order. We will now hear the official report on the 7 incident. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed the mission data, recorded by the human ship's sensors. The council watched as the human team landed on 7. They saw the heavy gravity readings, the atmospheric pressure, the extreme temperatures, numbers that made most species uncomfortable just to look at. Then they watched the humans move through it all like it was nothing. A representative from the species, a bird-like creature with 4 wings, stood up. This data must be wrong. No species can function in 1.3 gravity without mechanical assistance. It's impossible. It's not wrong, Sora said calmly. That's normal for humans. Our home world has 1.0 gravity, but we train our soldiers in higher gravity to build strength. 1.3 is uncomfortable but manageable. The hologram continued. It showed Private Wu being stung by the council chamber went silent. Everyone knew what venom did. They had all seen the reports. But Wu did not die. He did not even fall down. He just slowed down a bit, got medical treatment, and continued fighting. A representative stood up, shaking. That's not possible. Venom is lethal to 93% of known species. It should have killed him in seconds. Human immune systems are highly aggressive, Sora explained. We evolved on a planet with thousands of diseases, venoms, and toxins. Our bodies learned to fight back against almost everything. The venom was bad but not deadly to us. The hologram showed more. It showed the humans crossing the deadly river, climbing the cliffs, moving through the jungle at night. Each thing they did was something that other species considered impossible. Then came the part that really shocked the council, the negotiation with the queen. They communicated with a hive species, a counselor asked in disbelief. That's never been done before. They are classified as non-sentient. Clearly that classification was wrong, Sora said. They are intelligent. They were protecting their breeding ground. When we offered a peaceful solution, they accepted it. Floated forward. Ambassador Sora, the Council needs to understand something. We have information about your home world, Earth. The data is concerning. Concerning how? Sora asked, though she knew what was coming. Your planet is classified as a Class 12 death world, the highest danger rating we have. Let me read some of the environmental factors. Pulled up a data screen. Gravity, 1.0, which is higher than average. Atmospheric pressure, 100, which would crush most species. Weather patterns, extreme, including hurricanes with wind speeds over 300 kilometers per hour. Tectonic activity, high, with frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Biodiversity, over 8 million species, many of them predatory or venomous. Paused. Your world has over 400,000 species of beetles alone. Beetles. Why does one planet need that many beetles? Some of the council members made sounds of agreement. Earth sounded like a nightmare world. It gets worse, another counselor added. Earth has had 5 mass extinction events. 90% of all life wiped out multiple times. And somehow life always came back, stronger, more dangerous, more adaptable. Your oceans contain creatures that can kill with electricity, another counselor said. You have fish that can survive being frozen solid. You have birds that fly across entire continents without stopping. You have mammals that can in complete darkness. And humans, said quietly, evolved competing with all of that. You didn't just survive Earth, you conquered it. You spread to every environment on the planet, deserts, jungles, mountains, tundra, even underwater. There is nowhere on your world where humans cannot live. Sora sat calmly through all of this. Finally, she spoke. You're right, Earth is a difficult planet, but we don't consider ourselves special. We're simply the product of our environment. We adapted, we learned, we survived. That's exactly what concerns us, said. There are billions of you, and you're just starting to explore space. What happens when a species that considers 7 to be manageable encounters real challenges? We help, Sora said simply, like we helped the. A counselor who looked like a crystal tree spoke up. But at what cost? You sent 12 soldiers into a death world. What if they had all died? Then we would have sent more, Sora said. They asked for help. 40 lives were at stake. That was worth the risk. 17 species refused that mission, the crystal tree said. Were we all wrong? Sora chose her words carefully. You weren't wrong to protect your own people, but we're not built like you. We can survive in places you can't. That doesn't make us better. It just makes us different. The who had studied on Earth stood up to speak. She had been invited to give testimony. May I say something? Nodded, please, honored guest. I lived on Earth for 2 years, said. Her voice was small but clear in the huge chamber. I studied at a place called Seoul. I thought I understood humans. I was wrong. She took a breath. On Earth, I was always careful. The gravity made me tired. The air pressure gave me headaches. I couldn't eat most of their food because my stomach couldn't handle it. I had to stay indoors during their weather changes. I needed special equipment just to exist there. But the humans, continued. They lived in that environment like it was paradise. They ran for exercise in gravity that exhausted me. They ate food spicy enough to kill some species. They went outside during temperature swings that would put me in a hospital, and they called it normal. She looked around the council chamber. When they attacked our colony, we knew we would die. We sent distress calls to every species we knew, and every single one of you said no. You were right to do so. That planet would have killed most of you. But Earth said yes, and her voice got stronger. They didn't hesitate. They didn't ask for payment. They just came, and they saved us, all of us. Because to them, saving 40 lives was worth the risk. The chamber was silent. That's what Death World species do, said. They don't run from danger. They run toward it, and the galaxy is better for it. She sat down. The council was quiet for a long moment. Finally spoke. The council must make a decision. Humanity is requesting full membership and the right to operate rescue missions in our space. Given what we've seen, what is our verdict? One by one, the councilors voted. It took 3 hours. Some were afraid of humans, some were impressed, some were both. But in the end, the vote was clear. Humanity is granted full council membership, announced. Furthermore, we formally request that Earth establish a rapid response force for emergency rescue missions in extreme environments. Sora stood and bowed. Earth accepts. We'll call it the response team. Someone in the chamber laughed at the name. Then someone else joined in. Soon, half the council was laughing. Not mean laughter, but the kind that comes from tension breaking. After the session ended, counselors approached Sora one by one. Some wanted to thank her. Some wanted to establish trade agreements. Some just wanted to shake hands with a human. A small, purple alien who looked like a floating blob approached her last. Ambassador, I must know, are all humans as brave as the ones who went to 7? Sora thought about it. No, she said honestly. Those were soldiers, trained warriors, but here's the thing. Every human comes from Earth. Every one of us grew up on a planet that tried to kill us every day. So maybe we're not all soldiers, but we're all survivors. The purple alien shivered, which was apparently their way of showing respect. The galaxy is going to be a very different place with humans in it. Yes, Sora said with a small smile, it is. Back on 7, the colony was being moved to a new location, away from the breeding grounds. They had stopped attacking completely, keeping their side of the deal. The humans supervised the relocation, making sure both species stayed safe. Captain stood at the landing pad, watching his team prepare to leave. The mission was done. They had saved the colonists and made peace with a perfect success. Captain approached him. I wanted to thank you for everything. Smiled, just doing our job. It's more than that, said. You showed the galaxy what humanity is capable of. You're going to be famous. Looked uncomfortable. I'd rather not be. But was right. The story had already spread. The humans who went where no one else would go. The Death World species who chose peace over violence. The newcomers who were changing everything. The galaxy was learning a new lesson. Earth was dangerous, yes, but humans were more than just survivors. They were helpers, protectors, problem solvers. And they had only just begun. 3 months after the 7 incident, the galaxy was still talking about humans. The story had become legend. In bars and meeting halls across 1,000 worlds, beings told the tale of the species that treated a death world like a Tuesday afternoon. The effects were immediate and widespread. Pirates who had terrorized trade routes for years suddenly found themselves avoiding any ship with Earth markings. The few who were foolish enough to attack human vessels quickly learned why that was a mistake. Human merchant marines did not surrender. They fought back with weapons and tactics that made even hardened criminals run away. Colony worlds in dangerous regions started requesting human advisors. A mining outpost on a high-radiation moon wanted humans who could work where their own people needed thick shielding. A farming colony on a planet with aggressive predators wanted humans who could teach them defense tactics. An underwater city wanted human engineers who understood pressure and could design better habitats. And the Galactic Rescue Service, which had operated for 500 years with limited success, sent a formal request to Earth. They wanted to recruit human specialists for extreme environment rescue operations. The pay was excellent. The missions were dangerous. Earth sent 200 volunteers within a week. Commander, formerly captain, stood on the bridge of the UEDF Perseverance and watched the stars slide past. He had been promoted after 7 and given his own ship. It was new, fast, and equipped with the best technology Earth could provide. The crew was small but skilled. 43 men and women, all volunteers, all ready for whatever came next. Lieutenant walked onto the bridge carrying a data pad. "Sir, we're receiving a distress call." "From who?" asked. "A mining station called Deep Harbor. It's in orbit around a gas giant called 9. They're in trouble. The station's orbit is decaying. They're going to fall into the planet's gravity well within 18 hours. Looked at the data. The numbers were bad. The gas giant had gravity 15 times stronger than Earth. The atmospheric pressure would crush the station like paper. The winds at the upper levels reached 800 kilometers per hour, and there were strange energy storms that could fry electronics." "How many people on the station?" asked. 312, mixed species, mostly miners and their families." "Has anyone else responded to their call?" Checked his pad. 17 species received the signal. All of them classified the mission as impossible, too dangerous. They've written off the miners as lost. Felt a familiar anger burn in his chest. 17 species again, just like with the "What makes it impossible?" "The gravity, sir. Any rescue ship that gets close enough will be pulled in. You'd need engines powerful enough to escape 15 Gs while carrying extra weight. Most species don't build ships like that." "But we do," said. Smiled, "Yes, sir, we do." Pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands, this is the commander. We have a rescue mission. Deep Harbor Mining Station is falling into a gas giant. 312 people are going to die unless someone helps them. We're going to be that someone. Get ready for heavy gravity operations." In the crew quarters, Corporal heard the announcement and started checking her gear. She had been with since 7. She would follow him anywhere. Around her, the other crew members did the same. No complaints. No fear, just quiet preparation. Private Wu, now Specialist Wu after his promotion, was in engineering. He listened to the mission brief and shook his head with a grin. Another impossible mission. Why do we always get the impossible ones? "Because we're the only ones dumb enough to say yes," another engineer said. "Or smart enough," Wu replied. The Perseverance changed course and jumped to faster-than-light speed. The journey would take 6 hours. That left 12 hours to complete the rescue once they arrived. On the bridge, Specialist worked with the ship's computer to plan the approach. The math was complicated. They needed to get close enough to transfer people but not so close that they could not escape. The window for success was tiny. "It's going to be tight," she told. "We'll have about 45 minutes to load everyone and break orbit. Any longer and we won't have enough power to escape." "Can we do it?" asked. Looked at the numbers one more time. "If everything goes perfectly, maybe." "Then we'll make it perfect," said. The Perseverance dropped out of faster-than-light travel on the edge of the 9 system. The gas giant filled half the view screen, a massive ball of swirling colors and violent storms. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Deep Harbor Station was visible as a tiny dot against the planet's face. It was falling slowly but steadily, pulled by gravity that was already starting to tear the structure apart. Opened a communication channel. "Deep Harbor, this is UEDF Perseverance from Earth. We're here to evacuate you." There was silence for a moment. Then a voice came back, shaking with disbelief. "Earth, you came." "Yes, start preparing your people. We don't have much time." But the gravity, the storms, 18 species said it was impossible. "We're not them," said simply. "Get everyone ready to move fast." The Perseverance began its approach. The ship shuddered as it entered the gravity well. Alarms started beeping. The engines strained to maintain position. But Earth engineers had built this ship to handle stress. It held steady. Led the evacuation team. They used small shuttles to ferry people from the station to the Perseverance. The shuttles were tough, designed to operate in environments that would destroy civilian craft. They made trip after trip, bringing miners and their families to safety. The gravity was crushing. Many of the miners were species that could barely move under the pressure. The humans had to carry them. Children, elderly, injured. The humans lifted them all and moved them to the shuttles. One miner, a being that looked like a walking crab, stared at the human carrying him. "How are you doing this? The gravity should crush you." The human, a young woman named, just smiled. "Earth is 1G, this is 15. We trained in 20, we're fine." 20 minutes passed. 100 people evacuated. The station groaned as more hull plates buckled under the stress. 30 minutes, 200 people safe. The storms were getting worse. Lightning the size of continents flashed in the planet's atmosphere below them. 40 minutes, 290 people evacuated. The Perseverance was at maximum capacity. The engines were running hot. Warning lights covered the bridge displays. "Commander," the pilot said, "we need to leave. Now, we're at the edge of our safety margin." "How many left on the station?" asked. 22's voice came over the radio. "We're loading the last shuttle now." "Watch the countdown clock. They had 5 minutes, maybe." The last shuttle launched from Deep Harbor. It was overloaded, carrying twice as many people as it should. The small craft struggled in the gravity, its engines screaming. "Come on," Wu whispered in engineering, watching the shuttle's power readings. "You can make it." The shuttle made it to the Perseverance with 30 seconds to spare. The airlock sealed. Every single person from Deep Harbor was safe. "All aboard," reported. "Get us out of here." "Full power," ordered. "Break orbit." The Perseverance's engines roared to life. The ship pulled away from the gas giant, fighting against gravity that wanted to drag it down into the crushing depths. The hull creaked. The lights flickered. Warning sirens wailed. But Earth engineers had built the engine strong, and the human crew knew how to push systems past their limits. Slowly, meter by meter, the Perseverance climbed out of the gravity well. When they finally reached safe distance, the crew erupted in cheers. They had done it. All 312 people saved. 0 casualties. In the cargo bay, the rescued miners stood in shocked silence. They had been certain they would die. 18 species had told them no one could help, but Earth had come. One of the miners, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms, approached. "Why?" he asked. "Why risk your lives for strangers?" "Thought about it. Because you asked for help, because you needed it, because we could. Isn't that enough? But your ship could have been destroyed. You could have all died." "Yes," agreed. "But you would have died for certain if we did nothing. We don't accept that, not when we can help." The miner was quiet for a moment. Then he did something surprising. He knelt down, lowering himself to his height. It was a sign of deep respect in his culture. "The galaxy calls you death, they fear you, but I think they should fear the day when beings like you decide to stop helping." That night, the Perseverance received 47 new distress calls. Species that had never contacted humans before were now specifically asking for Earth's help. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. When the situation was impossible, when all hope was lost, when no one else would come, Earth answered. On the bridge's voice came through the communication system. She was back on the home world now, working as an ambassador. "Commander, I heard about Deep Harbor. I wanted to send you a message." "Go ahead," said. "I've been talking to the other ambassadors, telling them about Earth, about humans. I tell them that you're not fearless, that you feel fear just like everyone else." "That's true," said. "But the difference," continued, "is that you don't let fear stop you. Other species run from danger. You run toward it, not because you're reckless, but because someone needs help and you're the ones who can give it." "We just do what's right," said. "I know, and that terrifies them, because a species that defines right as helping others, no matter the cost, a species that treats impossible missions as normal work, that's more dangerous than any weapon." After the call ended, sat down in his station. "She's not wrong, you know. We are changing the galaxy." "Good," said from her post. "It needed changing." Specialist pulled up the star charts. "Where to next, Commander?" Looked at the map. There were so many worlds out there, so many people who might need help someday. Earth was still small and new to the galactic community, but they were making a difference. "Set course for the nearest Earth station," said. "We'll resupply, rest for a day, and then wait for the next call." Because there would be a next call, and the one after that. There would always be someone in trouble, someone in danger, someone who needed help. And Earth would answer, every single time. The Perseverance turned toward home, carrying 312 grateful survivors. Behind them, Deep Harbor Station finally fell into Nine's atmosphere and was crushed into nothing. But everyone who had been on that station was alive. Because when they cried for help, only Earth's death came. And Earth's death never gave up. Never left anyone behind. Never stopped trying. The galaxy was learning that Death World humans were not the monsters to fear. They were the heroes to hope for. And that made all the difference.